She fell on the first night, but like the great champion she is, she has risen to conquer all. Denied a golden finish in the relay.
Femke Bol stunned the track world with a move no one saw coming. After years of battling Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone in one of the sport's biggest rivalries, Bol just made an announcement that completely changes the road to the next Olympics. In October 2025, she revealed she's not just shifting events, she is stepping away entirely from the 400-meter hurdles. And not temporarily, not as an experiment during the off-season, but permanently. Her new event, the 800 meters. For many fans, that news landed like a thunderbolt. The 800 is one of the most unpredictable, tactical, mentally demanding events in track and field. It's a battlefield of surges, jostling, positioning, and patience, a stark contrast to the structured rhythm and lane-controlled focus of the 400 hurdles. And the athlete currently ruling the 800, none other than Keely Hodgkinson, the Olympic champion who has already welcomed Bol to the new territory with open arms. But perhaps the most surprised reaction came from the one athlete who knows Femke Bol better than almost anyone else on the track, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. The two have traded titles, world leads, and historical performances. They've pushed each other into the 50-second range in the hurdles, a realm no other women in history have ever reached, and now Bol is walking away from that rivalry entirely. So today, we break down exactly why Femke Bol made this move, how the world is reacting, and why this could reshape the future of global athletics. To understand the magnitude of this moment, you first need to appreciate just how complete Femke Bol's resume already is. At just 25, she has accomplished more than most athletes achieve in a lifetime. Multiple world championship titles, European crowns, Olympic medals, relay heroics, world records indoors, and Diamond League dominance across continents. When she powered to victories in Tokyo in 2025, defending her 400-meter hurdles world title, it felt like the story was far from over.
His training partner, Jasmine Jones, trying to stay on terms with Femke Bol, but in the final hurdle, Femke Bol opens up a massive gap on the American. It's Femke Bol, but versus the clock, another gold for the Netherlands.
Yet in her exclusive interview with European Athletics, Bol revealed what many didn't realize. She had been thinking about this change for almost a year. She described feeling ready for a new impulse and needing something that would challenge her both physically and mentally in ways the hurdles no longer could. After the Olympics, the questions began to grow in her mind. She reflected on the last few years, where she had run times many experts once believed impossible. She realized she had done nearly everything she dreamed of in the 400 hurdles, except the one thing that always seemed just out of reach: an individual Olympic gold. Still, it wasn't dissatisfaction that inspired the switch. Instead, Bol made one thing clear. She wanted to take the leap while still at her best. While her body was strong, her training was sharp, and her competitive drive still burned hot. Instead of waiting until the end of her career, she chose to move now, while she had time to learn, fail, grow, and eventually conquer. She also emphasized that this decision wasn't made lightly. Moving to the 800 means stepping into uncharted waters. She admitted she had raced all out up to 600 meters, but never beyond that final 200. The stretch that breaks even seasoned veterans is a mystery to her. Bol knows she will start as a beginner in many ways. She joked that although she understands the 800 from watching, she has no real clue how it feels in competition, but she also knows she's not a beginner in the sport. She's learned how to prepare like a world-class athlete, how to manage pressure, and how to execute at the highest level on the biggest stages. Every lesson from the hurdles, pacing, discipline, strength, endurance is coming with her. The reaction from the athletics world has been nothing short of electric. Keely Hodgkinson, who currently sits atop the 800 world rankings, immediately praised the bravery of the move. She said she was thrilled at the idea of sharing a start line with Bol. Both athletes share the same agent, and fans are imagining the training camp conversations that will follow, including advice, strategies, and perhaps even a budding friendly rivalry. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, meanwhile, has been quieter publicly, but sources around American camps say there was genuine shock. For years, the women's 400 hurdles has been defined by two names, Bol and McLaughlin-Levrone. They weren't just rivals, they pushed each other into performances once unimaginable. 9 of the fastest times in history belonged to them. Many believed they were building toward another epic Olympic showdown. Now that storyline has shifted. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone recently transitioned herself to new events, winning a world title in the flat 400. And now Femke Bol is gone entirely from the lane-focused showdown, choosing instead the wild, unpredictable battlefield of 2 laps. The rivalry that powered a generation of fans has transformed, but in its place emerges something equally compelling, a brand new chapter with totally different stakes. Let's talk about the challenge ahead. The 800 meters is not just a longer race, it's a completely different universe. Bol acknowledges this herself. She will need more volume, more endurance, more tactical awareness. Her stride will have to adapt. Her race instincts will have to change. She moves from a lane-controlled sprint to a contact-heavy tactical war. Positioning matters. Patience matters. Reading the moves of competitors matters. There are surges at 300, accelerations at the bell, and brutal finishes down the home straight. Bol has never experienced any of that firsthand. But what she does bring with her is a weapon that very few 800-meter runners possess: world-class speed endurance. She has run the 400 in 49 seconds. She has run the 300 hurdles in 36. She can close races in ways that make relays look effortless. That final 100 of the 800, where races are won and lost, is exactly where her strengths lie. Her coach, Laurent Moully, is convinced this switch can work. He believes the transition fits her physiology, her training background, and her competitive mentality. And because Bol has spent years developing extraordinary lactate tolerance through hurdles training, he thinks the demands of the 800 may suit her more naturally than people expect. In other words, her team isn't guessing. They see a genuine path forward. There is also the emotional side. Bol made it clear that saying goodbye to the hurdles wasn't easy. She had a full year to process the decision, to mentally detach herself from an event she dominated. She reflected on her sub-51 run, her 51.5 at Worlds, and her relay medals. She said the 400 hurdles shaped her as an athlete and as a person. She didn't feel pushed out of the event, she felt fulfilled by it. She also reassured fans that while the individual hurdles are gone, relays are not. The 4x400 and mixed relays remain on her schedule. She loves the energy, the team dynamic, and the pride of representing the Netherlands. And she believes everything she learns in the 800, pacing, patience, tactical awareness, will help her become an even stronger relay anchor. What comes next? Femke Bol begins her 800-meter journey in 2026, starting fresh in a field stacked with Olympic champions, seasoned veterans, and rising stars. Analysts believe her early races will be crucial in defining expectations. Will she open conservatively? Will she attack from the front using her insane speed? Or will she sit back and rely on a final straight surge? Whatever she chooses, the attention will be massive. Femke Bol isn't just making a change, she's rewriting what adaptability looks like. And Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, watching from across the ocean, is witnessing a new era unfold. Their rivalry defined the last chapter. Bol's reinvention may define the next.
And Femke Bol, 2 athletes from opposite ends of the world, bound by destiny and the 400 meters. One, the American prodigy, a world record breaker who redefined what perfection looks like over the hurdles.
Sydney McLaughlin drops the hurdles, smashes a barrier no one has touched in decades, and Femke Bol rises in the gap she left behind. Their paths collide again, and the sport holds its breath. This showdown shifts power, tests limits, and sets up a clash no fan wants to miss. If you're loving this story, smash that like button, drop a comment with your predictions, and subscribe so you never miss the action. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone isn't just good at the 400-meter hurdles, she's absolutely dominated it. The 26-year-old American has won 2 Olympic gold medals and broken the world record 6 times in less than 4 years. At the Paris 2024 Olympics, she ran 50.37 seconds, the fastest anyone has ever hurdled 400 meters. She made her Olympic debut back in Rio 2016 when she was just 17 years old, and by Tokyo 2021, she was already breaking records in an empty stadium. But here's where things get interesting. With the LA 2028 Olympics coming up in her own backyard, you'd think McLaughlin-Levrone would cruise to a 3rd straight gold medal in the hurdles, right? Wrong. She doesn't do coasting. In 2025, she made a decision that shocked everyone. She switched completely to the 400-meter flat race, abandoning the hurdles entirely. When she sat down with Olympics.com after winning the U.S. Championships in early August, she explained her thinking. "It's very rewarding to step out of my comfort zone. I want to be the best well-rounded athlete I can be, and this is one of those challenges that I think I have been putting off for myself." Now, she'd actually tried this before, in 2023, winning the U.S. title in the flat 400 that year, but then switched back to hurdles for the Paris 2024 Olympic season. This time felt different, though. This time she was all in, and she revealed something fascinating about the mental challenge. The 400 is just more of a mental game than the hurdles you would think. You know, hurdling, the steps, but there's a lot more thinking involved in the 400-meter flat. I miss the hurdles a little bit when I'm running. But then she added, "It's been a mental gain, and I think that's pushed me as an athlete to have to grow in ways that maybe I didn't think I needed to." Her legendary coach Bobby Kersey, who transformed her into the greatest women's hurdler ever, put it in boxing terms: "You've got to go out there and take the belt. It's not yours. You've got to go earn it." And earn it she did. At the 2025 World Championships in Tokyo, McLaughlin-Levrone ran the semifinal in 48.29 seconds, breaking a 19-year-old American record, and she still felt like she had something left in the tank.
McLaughlin-Levrone for history. She's driving for the line, and she's done it! 47.80. No woman has run this fast.
Then came the final on September 18th, 2025. On a rain-slick track, McLaughlin-Levrone absolutely destroyed the competition and history itself. She crossed the line in 47.78 seconds, the first woman in nearly 40 years to break 48 seconds. When she looked up at the clock, she put her hands on her head in apparent shock. This was the second fastest time in history, trailing only Marita Koch's 47.60 from October 6, 1985. A record from the East German doping era that everyone thought was untouchable. Marilady Paulino pushed her all the way, finishing second in 47.98, also the third fastest time ever. McLaughlin-Levrone was gracious about it. You don't run something like that without amazing women pushing you to it. Even third-place finisher Salwa Eid Nasser ran 48.19, a time that would have won the previous two world championships. This was a race for the ages, extending McLaughlin-Levrone's winning streak to 19 straight victories in one-lap races dating back to June 2023. Coach Kersey knew what was coming. He told the Associated Press, "I felt that somebody was going to have to run 47-something to win this. She trained for it. She took on the challenge, took on the risk. She's just an amazing athlete that I can have no complaints about." While McLaughlin-Levrone was conquering the flat 400, her biggest rival was taking over the hurdles. Femke Bol, the 25-year-old Dutch superstar, had been chasing McLaughlin-Levrone for years. At Paris 2024, Bol arrived with an incredible European record of 50.95 seconds and massive expectations. The stadium was packed with orange shirts and Dutch flags. But the race didn't go as planned. She got bronze with 52.15, and she was brutally honest afterward. "All you want to do in an Olympic final is to put up your best race. I screwed it up. I'm not sure where I made the mistake. I just got so much lactic acid with 300 meters to go." She seemed completely bemused, shaking her head and slapping her face after the race. Fast forward to 2025, and everything changed. With McLaughlin-Levrone focused on the flat race, Bol dominated the hurdles like never before. She won 8 straight races in Rabat, Hengelo, Stockholm, Monaco, London, Budapest, Silesia, and Zurich. She'd made technical changes too, perfecting a stride pattern using 14 steps between hurdles 1 to 7, then 15 steps over the final 3 hurdles. This innovation, combined with improved finishing strength, made her virtually unbeatable. At the Tokyo 2025 World Championships, Bol successfully defended her world title with 51.54 seconds, dominating the field by 4 meters. She reflected on her growth. "This year, we tried to change some things in training to get better at finishing the race. I really improved myself with that. The last 100 meters was the best I've had all season." It was her second consecutive World Championship gold, and she proved herself as one of the hardest-working athletes in the sport. The competition behind her was fierce. Jasmine Jones grabbed silver with a personal best 52.08, training alongside Rai Benjamin, who'd won the men's hurdles just minutes earlier. Their coach, 2004 Olympic champion Joanna Hayes, had probably the most memorable 15 minutes of her coaching life. Slovakia's Emma Zaplatilova took bronze with a national record 53.00. Meanwhile, legendary 35-year-old Dalila Muhammad, the 2016 Olympic champion, ran her final race, finishing 7th. Despite dealing with injuries, her team wouldn't let her quit, and Jones called her a huge inspiration, who she'd looked up to since 7th grade.
Hi everyone! Thank you for voting on me for becoming European Athlete of the Year. Unfortunately, I cannot be there this year, but I really want to thank every one of you.
Then on October 25th, 2025, Bol made history again. At the Golden Tracks Awards in Batumi, Georgia, she won the European Athlete of the Year for the third time, 2022, 2023, and 2025, becoming the first woman ever to achieve this feat. She joined Mondo Duplantis and Mo Farah as the only athletes with 3 wins. So, where does this leave us? You've got McLaughlin-Levrone breaking barriers in the flat 400, running the second fastest time in history and putting Marita Koch's 1985 record on shaky ground. Then you've got Bol cementing her dominance in the hurdles, racking up world titles and historic awards. But here's the million-dollar question. Will McLaughlin-Levrone return to the hurdles? Coach Kersey thinks so. He said, "I think now 47 tells her that she can break 50 knowing her. She's probably going back to the hurdles and try to take what she learned now in the quarter mile and try to execute a plan to run 49.99 or better." McLaughlin-Levrone has her eyes on the LA 2028 Olympics at the Coliseum, her home games. She said, "To be able to run in the Coliseum would be just such an honor. Both athletes are rewriting the history books, and this rivalry is far from over."
Savor this. We're watching a once-in-a-generation athlete performing at the peak of her powers, and it is a new world record.
2 lanes, 2 legends, one race the world will never forget. When Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone and Femke Bol lined up for the 4x400 meters, it wasn't just another relay, it was a clash of icons, the kind of showdown that turns a race into history and rivals into legends.
People in the stadium are on their feet. They're stunned. They're utterly stunned. And so is she. She has smashed the world record.
In the world of track and field, few rivalries have burned brighter than that of Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone and Femke Bol. These 2 phenoms have transformed the 400-meter hurdles and now the 4x400 meter into must-watch events, pushing each other to limits the sport has never seen. From world records to championship duels, their battles have defined a new era of women's athletics, where excellence meets emotion every time they take the track. At the heart of this rivalry lies not just speed, but evolution. Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone has become synonymous with technical perfection, precision, and dominance. Her world record of 50.37 seconds, set during the 2024 Paris Olympics, is more than a time on a clock. It's a generational benchmark. Her start-to-finish performance in that Olympic final was surgical, fluid, aggressive, and untouchable. After slicing 0.28 seconds off her own previous world record, McLaughlin-Levrone draped herself in the American flag and, with a tiara adorning her head, rang the victory bell, a celebration fit for the queen of her event. Meanwhile, Femke Bol has carved out her own legacy. At 25, the Dutch superstar has retained her world title at the 2025 World Athletics Championships in Tokyo with a season best and world leading time of 51.54 seconds. Though she took bronze in the 400-meter hurdles in Paris, she rebounded with incredible poise in Tokyo, dominating the race with her trademark rhythm and grace. Her ability to recalibrate, refine her technique, and respond under pressure has made her more than a rival. She's McLaughlin-Levrone's equal in resilience and hunger.
This is so close! McLaughlin-Levrone for history! She's driving for the line, and she's...
The Tokyo 2025 World Championships symbolized a new chapter, with McLaughlin-Levrone focusing on the flat 400 meters this season, which she won in the second fastest time in history. Bol took full advantage. Undefeated heading into the championships, Bol ran 8 consecutive victories across Diamond League meets, showcasing her tactical prowess and consistent excellence. Her new stride pattern, 14 strides between the first 7 hurdles and 15 over the last 3,